Welcome back to Polished Professionals, the blog and brand to help you conquer the workaday world with style and poise. I am Mel, the founder of Polished Professionals, and today we are talking about writing a cover letter and our top 8 tips to help your cover letter stand out. But before we tell you all those tips about how to write a boss cover letter, welcome. If you're new to our channel, we're so glad you're here. Thanks so much for joining. If you haven't subscribed, we hope you hit the subscribe button and the bell. If you're back, welcome back. Thanks again for coming back to Polished Professionals. We are here for the working bosses out there to conquer the workaday world with style and poise, and we hope you like our channel, subscribe to it. You can also check us out across all of our other social channels at polished_professionals. Thanks again for joining us, and without further ado, let's get to those cover letters. Cover letters may seem like a thing of the past. In fact, they're probably not even a letter at all anymore. You're likely going to be sending something via email, an online application, something like that. But a cover letter is not something you can ignore. You need to make sure that you make a cover letter a part of your resume and job application. A cover letter is your chance to make a great first impression. Even if a job application doesn't call for a cover letter, find a way to include it. Include it in your email that you may send out, or include it in the first few letters of your resume that you're submitting in. You can find a way to get in the information that you would normally include in a cover letter into your job application, and we're gonna tell you how and the most effective way to submit that cover letter. So tip number 1 for writing a boss cover letter that will really get you noticed is that you should not just be rehashing what is on your resume. So what do you include in a cover letter? The first thing is you want to highlight your specific skills and your experience that really make you right for the job. Bring those right to the top. They may not show themselves off immediately in your resume, so your cover letter is your way to really hone in on those skills and experience that you think this particular job will really call on, and so do that in your cover letter. Also, you may want to mention personal qualities that may not come out well in your resume. Things like great leadership skills, why you really think you may be the right person for this job. Also, you may want to explain why you think this next role is the right role specifically for your career and your career growth. That won't be explained in your resume, so you won't be rehashing it. That's a great place for a cover letter to help show why you think you will be the right fit there. Also, a cover letter is a great place to show that you have done your research on this company and that you understand their leadership and their goals. So this is a great place to also show that you understand them and why you may be a great fit in their organization. Tip number 2 is tailoring your cover letter to a specific job. So you are not just going to say why you generally would like a job like the job you're applying for. Highlight why your skills and experience are right for this particular job that you are applying for. So if you are applying for a managerial job, you should be saying why your managerial experience and your managerial skills are right for this job. It is also right to show why your experience in maybe, for example, a particular industry may be relevant to this job that you are applying for. A generic cover letter will not get you noticed. In fact, it will probably just be thrown away. So make sure that as you are going through your cover letters, you are editing each one of them to be tailored to the job that you are applying for on each particular application. You might be able to get away with a generic form of a cover letter, but you will need to go in and spend the time to do a specific cover letter for each individual application that you are doing. Also, in addition to highlighting your talents, you can further personalize your cover letter by demonstrating your familiarity with specific industries, employers, other types of positions. So these are some ideas to really make your cover letter stand out and show that you spent the time and effort to make this cover letter tailored to the job at hand. And really that shows your attention to detail, which any employer will be appreciative of. Tip number 3 is to be proud of your accomplishments. Sometimes we may not feel like being a total braggadocious in our resumes, but you should be. Use a cover letter to highlight some of your great accomplishments. Employers want people who are confident. Confident people come in and they do well in those particularly positions like a sales job or things like that. So don't forget to highlight the things where you've been really successful. Cover letters are a great opportunity for you to highlight your best achievements in work. Tip number 4 to writing a boss cover letter: while you may have a lot of accomplishments, we want to keep it brief. Yes, just like a resume that shouldn't be longer than really 1 to 2 pages at the most, a cover letter should follow the same rule. It should be brief. It should be no longer than 1 page if printed, typically no longer than 2 to 3 paragraphs at most. You know, job applicants are sending in tons and tons of applications. That means the people that are reading them are reading tons and tons of applications. And so we want to catch their attention, keep it brief, keep it relevant. That's why you're going to tailor your specific cover letter to the exact job at issue, but you want to keep it pithy. And so no longer than 2 to 3 paragraphs, keep it brief and keep them interested, and they will be coming back for more. Tip number 5, use the keywords from the job description in your cover letter. This goes back to why it is so important to tailor your specific cover letter to each job that you apply for. Many recruiters and also people online that are taking in and aggregating tons and tons of job applicants' resumes and cover letters, they are using algorithms to screen through all the applicants, and they are looking for keywords. And if you are not showing those keywords in your resumes and in your cover letters, you are getting moved to the side. You may not even ever get looked at. So go back, look at the job description. If it is accurate, that it is part of your history and job experience, make sure to tailor your cover letter in particular to be able to address those highlighted keywords that are important for this particular job. That is one way to make sure you get through these algorithms and will at least get a second look by these recruiters, and at least get time in front of them to be able to get read and understood, and then they can look at your resume. It is much easier to tailor a cover letter individually. Resumes are much harder to edit and get through than a few paragraphs. So I understand if changing your resume seems more daunting. To me, changing the 2 or 3 paragraphs to highlight the words and key phrases that are in a job description is much easier. But that is the way you're going to make sure that you get past that first step of getting through those algorithms. Plus, it is clearly the things that are important to this boss that you are potentially going to work for, that you have these skills, and if you do, you want to highlight those in your cover letter. Tip number 6, make sure to address any concerns up front. A cover letter is a great way to address any concerns that an employer may have about your resume before you even walk in the door. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, if you may have a large gap in your resume, you may want to explain why up front in your cover letter. It may be a great opportunity for you to explain what you've done to keep your skills up to date, even while you may have a gap in the resume. It may also help you explain why, for example, if your company went bankrupt, why you might have gotten laid off, other things like that, that may give you a leg up to help them understand why you may have had certain gaps in your resume, or if you had an ailing family member, but things that you might have learned or things that you may have done to help keep your skills up to date. You may want to highlight those. Use your cover letter to do that. That can't really be well explained in your resume. This is the opportunity to show that to your future employer. Tip number 7, address your cover letter to the hiring manager or future boss. How do you do that though? You want to make sure you personalize this letter. One way that you can do that is calling the main office number and ask them who the hiring manager is and what their specific title is. You want to make sure that you personalize, just like you do the job description and going into this cover letter and making it specific to a job. Make sure you're sending it to a real person, not to whom it may concern, etc. You may want to ask for a few names if you need to be more specific, or just cover your bases. You may want to ask for who the person is that is going to be hiring, as well as the hiring manager. You may want to be able to send it to both, but that's not uncommon to make that kind of call. Also, if you're still in school, you may be able to ask your career services to help you out, help you find out the right person, but to whom it may concern is very tough. So you may want to get some help on that. Really keep digging until you find a real person to send that resume to. If you have a friend within an organization, you absolutely can phone a friend. That's a great way to find help and know who you can address your cover letter. Last but not least, tip number 8, proofread, proofread, proofread. Did I make it clear? Proofread? Yes, proofread your cover letter. Now, you're changing your cover letter a lot, right? Because you're making it specific to each and every job that you're applying for. So that means you may make mistakes, but mistakes show that you don't really care, and that's a bad first impression to make with your future employer. So you definitely need to read your cover letter several times. And after you've done that, I recommend sending it to a friend, a spouse, a significant other, a best friend, somebody who is really good at grammar. That's who you need to be sending it to. Grammarly is also a great tool that is free that you can use. It may give you some suggestions about how to word things, how to phrase things, where to put punctuation. All of those things are really important whenever you're presenting yourself for the very first time to a potential employer. So don't forget to proofread before you submit. It really is important, even if you are just submitting it online and not in a letter form that you typically may, even if it is within an app itself and it may not be in a typical letter form, make sure that you're proofreading it in a Word document first before you're then copying and pasting and putting it into your job application. We hope you like these top 8 tips to writing a boss cover letter that'll really stand out. We hope you give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Give us all your comments. We don't have the market cornered on all things cover letters. We want to hear your boss tips as well. Give them to us in the comments. And again, if you haven't subscribed, we hope you hit the subscribe button and the bell so you never miss an episode. And you can always find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the things. We hope you subscribe and join us and stay in touch with Polished Professionals. And let's continue to conquer the workaday world with style and poise. Thanks again for watching.